All right, today we're doing a really deep forensic dive into the commentary on a single verse of the Quran. We're looking at Surah Maryam, verse 36, through the eyes of the scholar Ayatollah Javadi Amoli. Our mission here is to meticulously unpack every single theological argument in this text, preserving every detail just as it's presented.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the verse and the initial breakdown. Then, we'll get into the whole idea of prophets, saints, and what it means to be near them. After that, we're going to deconstruct the real meaning of martyrdom. From there, we'll explore divine sustenance, and finally, we'll wrap up with justice, hell, and mercy. Let's jump in.
Okay, first things first, we have to establish a foundational concept that everything else is really built on. And that's this idea of the Awliya Allah, which you can translate as the friends or the saints of God. The big question is, who exactly are they?
Well, the commentary doesn't waste any time. It defines these friends of God by going straight to the source, and it makes it crystal clear. This isn't about who your parents are or what your status is. It all comes down to two and only two key ingredients: having real, genuine faith, and then acting on it with righteous deeds. And you know, this is such a critical point in the text. To be considered a wali of God, you absolutely need both. It's not one or the other. Just believing isn't enough, and just doing good things without that core belief, well, that's not enough either. They are completely inseparable. Firm faith, or iman, has to go hand in hand with righteous deeds, amal soleh. The commentary then gets even more nuanced. It shows how the Quran actually talks about this relationship from two different angles. Sometimes, it presents faith as the absolute foundation. Your good deeds only really count if they spring from a place of true belief. But then, other times, it frames it the other way around. Your righteous actions are the proof, the very evidence of your faith. So what's the conclusion? They're basically two sides of the same coin. You simply can't have one without the other. Okay, so if faith and good deeds are the ticket, then what's the ultimate prize? What's the goal? This next part digs into what it truly means to be in the company of the most spiritually elite people like the prophets and the saints. A huge piece of this puzzle comes from this one verse in Surah Al-Nisa. It makes a promise, right? It tells obedient believers that they will be with this incredible A-list group of people. But what does with really mean? Is it just, hanging out in the same general area? And this is where getting into the original language is so important. The commentary zeroes in on that specific Arabic word, ma'hum, which means with them. The argument being made is that this is not about physical space like being in the same room in paradise. No, it's about sharing their spiritual rank, achieving a similar level of closeness to God. It's a companionship of the soul. And that same verse lays out a kind of spiritual ladder for us. At the very top, you have the prophets. Right below them are the Siddiqeen. These are the steadfast, unwavering affirmers of truth. Then you have the Shuhada, and we're going to talk a lot more about them in a second. And finally, the Salihin, the righteous. This is the ultimate spiritual company that believers are encouraged to aspire to. All right, let's talk about that third group, the Shahid. We almost always translate this word as martyr, but what does it actually mean in its original Quranic context? That's what this next section is all about. We're going to take that idea apart. So, let's ask the question directly. Is a martyr just someone who is killed in battle for God's cause? The text argues, pretty forcibly, that this common understanding doesn't even begin to tell the whole story. It's much deeper than that. And if we look at the source text right here, you can see the author drawing a very clear distinction. He's separating the common, everyday meaning of shaheed from its profound theological meaning as it's used in the Quran. And here it is, the core of the argument. The common meaning, yes, is someone who is physically killed in God's path, but the primary Quranic meaning actually comes from the root word for witness. A shahid is someone who, because of their spiritual purity and insight, can actually witness divine truths. They can see into the unseen spiritual realm, what's known as the malakut. That's the primary definition. I mean, think about that for a second. This is a massive shift in how we understand the concept. The essence of being a shaheed isn't the act of dying. It's the state of witnessing. Someone who is killed in God's path is called a martyr because their ultimate sacrifice is proof that they have reached that incredible state of witnessing. The witnessing is the cause, being killed is the effect. So from the spiritual state of the soul, the commentary now pivots to how that soul is actually sustained. This next section dives into the idea of rizq, or divine sustenance, and it draws this incredible contrast between the food of our world and the food of paradise. The commentary lays out the logic so clearly. Think about it. Earthly food is a physical process. You consume it, it becomes part of you, and it inevitably produces waste. But heavenly sustenance, like the kind given to Maryam in the Quran, is a totally different thing. It's described as the physical manifestation of your own good deeds. It doesn't just fill you up, it elevates and perfects your soul. And because it's pure, it leaves no waste, no residue behind.
And to build on that point, the source text shows us that paradise, or Jannah, isn't just one single thing. It's not a monolith. It's actually a multi-layered reality that has both physical and deeply spiritual dimensions.
So the commentary breaks it down like this. There's a Jannah of the body, which has all the physical blessings we read about, like fruits and rivers. That's a reward that sustains our physical form in the hereafter. But the real goal, the ultimate reward, is the Jannah of the soul. This is a purely spiritual blessing, the reward of meeting God, liqa Allah, and achieving that ultimate proximity we were talking about earlier.
Okay, so we've talked about what it takes to be righteous and what the incredible rewards are. Now, for our final section, we're going to look at the other side, the consequences of all our actions, seen through the lens of divine justice, divine mercy, and the reality of heaven and hell.
This verse right here from Surah Maryam really sets the stage perfectly. Just listen to the language. Notice the stark, powerful contrast in how it describes the righteous versus how it describes the criminals. It's not just about their final destination, it's about how they get there.
And once again, the specific Arabic words here are just incredibly revealing. For the righteous, the verb used is nashuru, which means to gather. It has this connotation of an honor delegation being welcomed and brought together. But for the criminals, the verb is nasuku, to drive. It's the exact same word you would use for herding cattle. It implies force, coercion, and complete and utter dishonor.
So why this huge difference in treatment? It all boils down to two foundational principles. First, there's divine justice, or adl. This means you get exactly what your actions have earned, no more, no less. The commentary argues that hell is the perfect manifestation of this pure justice. But paradise? Paradise is different. It's a manifestation of divine grace, or fadl. It's a gift, a reward far, far greater than what anyone's actions alone could ever earn.
And all of this leads to what is honestly the most profound conclusion in the entire commentary. Your afterlife isn't some external place that you're sent to as a reward or punishment. No, it's much more intimate than that. Your actions in this world, your thoughts, your intentions, your deeds, they are the very building blocks, the raw material from which your own personal, eternal reality is constructed.
So we're left with this really heavy, resonant question to think about. If heaven and hell aren't just places we go, but are the actualized forms of our own choices, if we are literally building our own eternity with every passing moment, how does that completely redefine the weight and significance of every single action we take right here and right now?